Dallas Mavericks will see a familiar foe in the first round of the NBA playoffs, despite the fact that they lost their season finale to the Minnesota Timberwolves, setting up a showdown with, yes, the Los Angeles Clippers. This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Don't forget to hit that notifications bell also so you know when the videos drop. The Mavericks dropped their season finale 136-121 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves took the game a little bit more seriously than the Mavericks did, as they were up 76-50 at halftime. Karl Anthony Towns had 23 points. Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards had 30. D'Angelo Russell chipped in with 23, and Jaden McDaniels also had a really nice game with 19 points. Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis were your high men for the Dallas Mavericks, as they each had 18 apiece in this game, where defensively the Mavericks clearly didn't show up or feel like showing up. They just wanted to make sure, let's just say, to get out of the game unscathed and healthy, as they now set up a first-round showdown, a part two, if you will, with the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Los Angeles Clippers finished as the 4th seed in the Western Conference. The Mavericks finished as the 5th seed after it was a three-way tie between the Mavericks, the Blazers, and the Lakers. By virtue of the Mavericks winning the Southwest Division, they earned the three-way tiebreaker. Meanwhile, the Portland Trail Blazers finished in 6th, and the Los Angeles Lakers, yes, will be in the play-in against your man Stephen Curry in the coming days. That should be a lot of fun to watch. But for the Mavericks, 42-30 on the season. They finished their final 49 basketball games, 33-16 to earn that 5th seed. Not bad for a team who at one point was 9-14 on the year, had lost 6 straight games, and had lost 10 of 13 at one point, and at one point also had a worse record than the Houston Rockets. Yeah, I know it seemed like it was a long time ago, but that's how bad things were for your Dallas Mavericks. But they turned things around, especially in the second half, where they had the best net rating in all of the NBA after the All-Star break. Also, with the insertion of Dwight Powell in the starting lineup late in the season at the center position. Yes, Kristaps Porzingis coming back after dealing with right knee soreness and an ankle injury that kept him out for several games. Kristaps Porzingis goes into the playoffs healthy, where he'll have an opportunity at potential redemption after his season was ended in the bubble against the Los Angeles Clippers. But for Luka Doncic and this team, the Mavericks, who went 2-1 this season against the Los Angeles Clippers, an opportunity to engage in yet another fun matchup that saw the Clippers and the Mavericks, of course, in the bubble in Orlando go to 6 games, where your man Luka Doncic hit an epic buzzer beater in game number 4. Ultimately, the Mavericks succumbed to the Clippers in 6 games. I asked Luka Doncic after the game about how he's feeling about a rematch with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and these Los Angeles Clippers. Here is what Luka Doncic had to say.
Luka, your thoughts about the excitement of facing the Los Angeles Clippers again in the first round of the playoffs, given the matchup and rivalry that you all developed with them last year?
I mean, it's great, it's a great matchup. They have a hell of a team, and it's going to be tough to beat them, but it's a hell of a matchup.
Luka, you mentioned a lot of trash talking in the series last year, and obviously a lot of that was with you and Marcus Morris, a lot of heated moments. What are your thoughts on matching up with him probably guarding you a lot again?
I mean, it's going to be okay. He's a hell of a player, hell of a defender. Trash talk is always there, and if it's not, you're not really competing. So it's gonna be great. Actually, he apologized to me on the one that he stepped in the game we played in Dallas, I think. And it's all good. But trash talk is always gonna be there. And like I said, if you're not gonna trash talk, you're not really competing, especially in the playoffs.
So Luka Doncic obviously excited. A heck of a matchup between the Clippers and the Mavericks, a Mavericks team that has grown significantly since their experience in Orlando a season ago, a team that at one point lost several players due to COVID and health and safety protocols, the Jalen Brunsons of the world, the Dorian Finney-Smiths, Josh Richardson, Dwight Powell, and others who dealt with COVID. Maxi Kleber also, who missed this game against the Minnesota Timberwolves as he continues to deal with Achilles soreness. So the Mavericks are a different team than what they were a season ago in Orlando. So are the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers, who have Tyronn Lue as their new head coach, have played terrific basketball this season. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are the two main guys, obviously, as two of the best 3-and-D guys in all of the NBA with their ability to score and defend on the other end of the floor. And, of course, Kawhi Leonard is a former NBA's Finals MVP 2 times over, while also, of course, a 2-time NBA champion, while Paul George is trying to prove that, yes, he is playoff P versus what you saw in the bubble in Orlando where he was just absolutely dreadful. So for Paul George, he's looking for a measure of redemption against the Dallas Mavericks. So is Kristaps Porzingis. Now remember, Kristaps Porzingis' season was ended at the hands of the Los Angeles Clippers. We came to find out that he had torn his meniscus in game number 1, but despite the fact that he did, played in the next couple of games, including in game number 3, where he had 34 points and 13 rebounds. Ultimately, he had to succumb to the injury and was not able to finish the series as he missed the final 3 games of that series. Who knows how much differently that series would have turned out against the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round if Kristaps Porzingis had been able to remain healthy for the remainder of that series, especially what we know happened in game number 4 when Luka Doncic hit that epic buzzer beater to tie the series ultimately at 2 before the Los Angeles Clippers ultimately beat the Mavericks in the final 2 games of that series. I asked Kristaps Porzingis after the game, is there a measure of personal redemption for him knowing that he has another crack at the Los Angeles Clippers after the ways things ended for him in his season a year ago? Here's what Kristaps Porzingis had to say.
NKP, obviously the rematch with the Clippers in the first round, part 2. Do you look at this as any kind of personal redemption for you given how your season ended in that first round series, given the injury that you suffered and how well you were playing prior to that injury?
No personal, beef or no personal. It's not personal. At the end, we as a basketball team are trying to get better with each year and with each game and with each, whatever. And it's again the Clippers, and we look forward to competing against them again. They're a more experienced team than us. Have some guys that have went all the way and won it all. So it's going to be a great challenge for us, and we're looking forward to it. And I think it's it's not personal. We're just going in there, and trying to play our best basketball as the Mavericks.
So Kristaps Porzingis is saying, look, I don't necessarily have any personal beef or any personal redemption that I'm looking for. This is about this team continuing to get better and now having an opportunity to take on a Clippers team that knocked us out a season ago, which, good for him taking the high road. But for Kristaps Porzingis, his playoff run is going to be key to the long-term future one way or the other for the Dallas Mavericks, whether he remains a part of the long-term future for this team going forward or if he moves his value to where a lot of folks think he needs it to have it in order for the Mavericks to potentially move on from him during this offseason. Either way, Kristaps Porzingis is going to have to ball out in these playoffs for the Dallas Mavericks. These Mavericks are a little bit different than what you saw from them a season ago. This is a team that has Dwight Powell back and healthy, and also has one Jalen Brunson who's going to be making his first NBA playoff appearance after he missed last year's playoffs due to a shoulder injury. He, along with Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Richardson, and others, are really going to have to step up their game in these playoffs against the Los Angeles Clippers, who are extremely deep, but more importantly, provide the length, the strength, and the size to give the Mavericks problems in this first-round series. I asked Jalen Brunson after the game how excited he is about playing against the Los Angeles Clippers. His answer is short, but sweet, but good nonetheless. Here's Jalen Brunson.
Jalen, how excited are you to be in your first playoff experience, knowing what you guys have been through this year, and now obviously having a rematch with the Clippers in the first round?
Tomorrow, I will feel great and ready to go. Tomorrow, I'll feel ready to go.
So Jalen Brunson saying, look, I'll be ready to go tomorrow and then beyond when it comes to getting ready for these playoffs against the Los Angeles Clippers. And good for Jalen Brunson. Him and Tim Hardaway have been two guys who have been perennial sixth man of the year candidates for the Mavericks this season. Their importance has not been understated, especially given what the Mavericks are going to need from both of them from a production standpoint. You know what you're going to get from Luka Doncic, a guy who this season averaged over 28 points per game, over 8 rebounds, and nearly 9 assists per contest. You know what you're going to get for the most part with Kristaps Porzingis, especially when he's healthy. A guy who can provide you 20 points and 10 rebounds and a couple of block shots when he's moving well on the defensive end. But for guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Richardson, and Jalen Brunson, yeah, I'm looking at you guys. Because the amount of production that you're going to need from those three in this first round series is going to be massive, given especially a guy, Tim Hardaway Jr., who over a previous 8-game stretch had over 27 points per game, was shooting over 50% from the field and from the three-point line to really give the Mavericks what they needed offensively to make the late push that they did to get to the 5th seed to the Western Conference. They're going to need that and more from him and Dorian Finney-Smith, who's been extremely good in the clutch this year with his ability to shoot the ball from the three-point line and being more aggressive and taking the ball to the basket. All hands are going to need to be on deck against the Los Angeles Clippers because the amount of length and size that they present, especially on the inside with Ivica Zubac, who kills the Dallas Mavericks, in that March 15th game, when the Mavericks dropped the first of a 2-game homestand, a 109-99 loss. Ivica Zubac had 15 points and 11 rebounds in that game. That was despite the fact that Luka Doncic himself had a triple-double that night with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 16 assists. They were able to use their size and length to out-rebound the Dallas Mavericks on that particular evening. Kawhi Leonard went for 22 points and 4 steals in that game. It's going to be incumbent upon this Mavericks team to rebound the basketball extremely well against a team that has the length and the size, not only with Zubac, but also Serge Ibaka. DeMarcus Cousins is now on this team. The Mavericks are going to have their challenges against a team that can defend extremely well, but more importantly, can rebound the basketball. As I mentioned, a team that did win the season series 2-1. They're not afraid of the Los Angeles Clippers. Yeah, you had the 51-point beatdown where Luka Doncic was really good in that game. You dropped the first of a 2-game homestand on March 15th, even though Luka Doncic had a triple-double. But then you back it up on March the 17th when a 105-89 win where Luka Doncic had his 4th 40-point game of the season where he went for 42 points, 9 assists. He also had 3 steals and 2 blocks in that game. More importantly, Porzingis was really good defensively, had 11 points, 13 rebounds, and a couple of blocks, and you out-rebounded the Los Angeles Clippers in that game. So as we go through this week, we'll have plenty to get you ready for in terms of the preview between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks. But an early look at what this Mavericks team will have to do: 1, they will have to defend. 2, they will have to rebound like maniacs. And 3, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, and Josh Richardson defensively are going to be expending a lot of energy guarding the likes of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. How that will affect them on the offensive end will remain to be seen. But now things are settled in, the playoffs are set, and the Dallas Mavericks have an opportunity to look forward at a set of redemption themselves after what they went through last year in the bubble in Orlando, a team that, yes, is still young, still learning how to win, and at times, of course, played down the competition this year. There's no excuse for that anymore because everybody in these playoffs are good, including the Los Angeles Clippers, who, if you say they wanted to tank to get to the Dallas Mavericks so that they could avoid the Los Angeles Lakers, yeah, I get that. But here we are nonetheless. Round 1, Part 2, the rematch, the Clippers and the Mavericks. Strap up, MFFLs. It's going to be a fun ride in this first round. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. We will have previews all week long as we get you ready for the Mavericks taking on the Clippers in the first round of the NBA playoffs. This has been another episode of The Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.